Osamu Dazai was actually really funny. And I know that's not really a surprise to a lot of people who have read like No Longer Human, especially Flowers of Buffoonery, which is the uh, prelude to No Longer Human. Definitely one of the funnier books of his that I've read. Um, and it was only recently, as I was reading one of his short stories, which is in this collection, Self-Reflections, called Canis Familiaris, that it really kind of sunk in, this idea of humor and loyalty and how that kind of fits into his um, kind of, I guess, catalog. Where does this fit in his other works? I mean, this one is supposed to be. It's very intentionally funny, whereas other books, No Longer Human especially, is obviously very heavy on the themes of mental health, suicide, depression, shame, and all these sort of negative emotions. Um, so when I came across this short story, I thought, okay, I have not laughed out loud like this from reading in a long time. So it starts off with this. I have confidence when it comes to dogs. I'm confident that eventually I'll be bitten by one. I have no doubt that one day a dog will sink its teeth into my flesh. I'm confident of it. In fact, it amazes me that I've managed to get by unscathed until now. Dogs, dear reader, are ferocious beasts. Is it not said that they've been known to bring down horses and do battle with, and even defeat the mighty lion? Small wonder, I say, nodding sadly to myself. Just look at those teeth, long, sharp fangs that are not to be scoffed at. On the street we see dogs poking their noses into garbage cans, feigning innocence and self-effacing air, as if to show us that they're entirely unworthy of our notice, when in reality they're fierce beasts quite capable of toppling a horse. Since there's no telling when, in a fit of rage, any given dog might expose its true nature, they should all be kept securely chained down. It won't do to relax our guard for even a moment. When one sees the dog owner who, simply because it is he that supplies the table scraps, trusts the fearsome animal implicitly, calling it in a playful voice, "Here, boy, come on, boy," and laughing uproariously at the sight of his beloved 3-year-old child tugging the creature's ears, one can only shudder and cover one's eyes. What if the dog, with no more warning than a sharp yelp, were to suddenly take the child in its jaws? You can't be too careful with these beasts. The belief that a dog will not bite the hand that feeds it is nothing more than a sanguine, fatuous superstition. A creature with fangs like that is born to bite, and there can be no scientific proof that its owner is immune. What then is one to think of those who let such vicious animals run loose on the street? So the story is basically about the character hating dogs. The irony is that, of course, he gets attached to a dog, or a dog gets attached to him, and he wants nothing to do with it. Yeah, he's terrified of dogs. He thinks they should be all chained up. But the thing is that he wants the loyalty, the affection that this dog kind of gives him. It's a companion, and he's suddenly not so lonely. It comes off as pure denial. He's in denial at every stage of this development, until he finally accepts this dog into his home and as his thing. But despite trying to get rid of the dog at different stages throughout the story, unsuccessfully, even going as far as to try to kill it, he fails and the dog comes home with him to stay. So it's very much the classic reluctant transformation story, but with Dazai's irony woven in. So how does this fit into Dazai's kind of catalog as a whole. Because as I was saying, the No Longer Human is associated with those very dark themes, and obviously that's sprinkled throughout his other works, and obviously not just implicit, it's very explicit in Flowers of Buffoonery, for example. So where does this story fit in? I think it's interesting because this one is kind of sandwiched between a lot of other stories that kind of continue that spectrum of doleful, melancholic, morbid themes that he's known for, but with a more explicit humor. But I think in a way it reveals the driving force of a lot of these feelings and ideas that he's kind of ruminating over in those books. It's a denial of basic humanity. It's a feeling of not being human, of not being worthy. Obviously that's kind of trivializing it a lot, actually, but the irony in this case is that he gets that his humanity from an animal, not a person. So yeah,